want me to put that on my tudger?
Harry's wife. She will never come back to the United Kingdom. An unsurprising reaction there from many people to the news that Harry's wife is unlikely to come back to the United Kingdom. But who's telling us this? Well, it's the Express, and this time it's Charlie Bradley, who writes, Harry's wife unlikely to return to Britain ever again after coronation snub. A royal expert argues Prince Harry is the one who has done the most damage to relations between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. It is unlikely Harry's wife will return to the United Kingdom ever again after it was confirmed she will not be attending the coronation, a royal expert has said. It was confirmed earlier this month that Harry's wife will stay in the United States, while Prince Harry attends the coronation of his father, King Charles, alone. The reasoning for this isn't clear. Well, it isn't clear because, of course, Harry's wife keeps changing her mind. First of all, it's as a consequence of Prince Archie Harrison's birthday falling on the same day as the event, and as part of facade management, she wants to stay in the United States because it's a family occasion. But then, hang on a second, I need to say something else now because there's a fresh threat to control. So actually, I want to make it all about Charles, even while continuing to talk about myself. Oh no, a third reason can be offered instead, that actually it's got nothing to do with the first things that I have explained. And it's because I didn't get a suitable response to my letter about unconscious bias. Well, it's no surprise that the Express writes that the reasoning isn't clear, because Harry's wife was given 3 different reasons as to the basis on which she's not attending. Royal expert and journalist Camilla Tominey believes Harry's wife is also concerned that she would have received a negative reception had she attended. Well, indeed, that's entirely correct, and that's what's at the heart of all of this, that her narcissism determines that there'll be such a threat to control that it really isn't worth turning up. Speaking on the Telegraph's YouTube channel, she added that Harry's wife may never come to the United Kingdom again. She said, "The idea of Harry's wife returning to Britain, will she ever again? Who knows? It seems unlikely, because she had made her life in America. She doesn't seem to see any future back with the royals." That's interesting, because most of the damage has been done by Harry. We can hark back to the Oprah interview and Netflix documentary, but the real hurt being caused now is by his memoirs. This, of course, fails to recognise that the Shitflix documentary was orchestrated by her, and as my reading and analysis of excerpts of Why told you, we can see that Harry's wife had a particular involvement in what was disclosed as she hung Harry out to dry and sought to score points against the royal family through that publication. Accordingly, the damage hasn't been done solely by Harry, but rather as a consequence of his puppeteering by his wife. Ms. Tominey continued, "It was the worst kept secret in Monty Shit Show. Lots of their friends have known for weeks that this was now how they would approach the ceremony. There was a growing sense, not just after the publication of Why, but also that South Park episode. Harry's wife was worried about what sort of reception she would receive in Britain. I think it is different for the so-called prodigal son to return to the royal fold. Everybody knows he is the son of a king, brother of a future king, and the uncle of a future king. Harry's royal status is well affirmed, and even if people are angry with him, they probably think he's made the right decision to attend the coronation. While Harry will attend the ceremony, it appears his recent criticism of the royals still has had some repercussions. Harry was particularly critical of Queen Consort Camilla. In his interview with CBS earlier, he described her as a villain. But on a recent episode of the News Agents podcast, Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, defended his mother. He said, "I think change happens, but I don't care what anyone says. This wasn't any sort of endgame. She married the person she loved, and this is what happened." He also was asked if his mother had any nerves in the build-up to the big day on May the 6th. Mr. Parker Bowles said his mother has never complained about the role she will have in the ceremony. Facade management. He added, I think anyone would be anxious on occasion of this sort of importance in terms of the historical, and yes, I think I'd be terrified if I had to sort of walk out wearing ancient robes, he said. She's 75, but it's tough to do, but she's never complained. You just do it, you get on with it. But returning to the issue of whether Harry's wife will return to the United Kingdom ever again. Well, first of all, if her narcissism perceives that there are going to be repeated threats to her control through the British public, through the royal family, and through the British media, and that keeps happening, the answer is it's highly unlikely that she will return. Because even the perceived upside, facade management, money, may not be enough to outweigh those threats to control. Furthermore, she may never return because the disengagement of Harry looms ever closer. And if that's the case, there's even less reason for her to have any association with the United Kingdom by virtue of the fact that her husband would then be estranged and ultimately divorced. She would want to have even less to do with his family. The only instance, of course, where she might return would be where there was some kind of event that her narcissism deemed that the gains that would be obtained in terms of the amount of fuel, the character traits, and residual benefits made riding the risk of challenge worth it. Quite what that would be doesn't immediately present itself, because the coronation might be seen as something in that regard, but it clearly isn't. Even a heavyweight event, a heavyweight royal event, the virtue of the coronation wasn't sufficient to cause her narcissism to think, you know what, the gains here are worth going for, notwithstanding the challenges that we're going to face by way of people disapproving of Harry's wife. It determined that the gains weren't sufficient and the challenges would be too numerous, too sustained and too frequent, and therefore she ought not to attend. It's hard, therefore, to see what other event might come about that could change matters. Now, of course, remember that her narcissism over time forgets about the challenges that it has experienced. So the fact that she was cold-shouldered by various members of the royal family at the funeral, that fades. But one of the main problems that she has is that, as we know, she repeatedly looks at social media and the news, and she's told of this by her advisors, and she will see the repeated articles in the British press criticising her, talking about her lack of popularity, and, of course, the repeated criticisms of her in social media. And so, therefore, whilst her narcissism might forget about the fact that the Princess Royal might not have spoken to her, or that Mike Tyndall turned away, etc., and that she got glared at by Sophie and so forth, she will keep seeing what's going on in the media and social media, which will give her a reminder of the extent of the challenges. And it would only be if there was some really meaty event with some really choice gains to be obtained that she's likely to then overrule these challenges and attend. The fact is, the chances of her being seen on British soil ever again are pretty non-existent. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.